Hi everyone, welcome to Nikki Grace. Today we are going to make a comfort classic creamy vegetable takeaway. This is such a tasty dish and it's great at using up lots of different veggies in your fridge and obviously getting lots of veggies into your family as well. So today I have chosen to use carrots, mushrooms, broccoli, onions, garlic, potato, pumpkin, and you're also going to need milk, salt and pepper, corn flour and cheese. So first off, we're going to do a lot of chopping. We're going to chop the onions, chop the garlic, chop the veggies, and this is all prep for the veggie bake. While all this chopping is going on, I will tell you a bit about our channel. So this channel is a joint channel between myself, Nikki, and my mum, Grace, and we hope to show you lots of videos on gardening, on cooking, on baking, on eating out, and on family trips. They're all things we love to do and we'd love to share with you as well. We recently returned from a trip to Samoa. We spent 10 days over there. We had the most amazing time, and you can see some of the things we got up to in our previous vlog, which is up on the channel. So it is nice to be home and making some warm vegetable bake on a very cold evening. Temperatures here are much chillier than Samoa. We're in Christchurch, New Zealand, in the South Island, and currently it's about 10 degrees. The fire's on, and soon the stovetop will be on too. We hope that our cooking and baking videos will be very relaxing to watch. There'll be a mix of voiceovers and then just you enjoying the process and watching how some of the tasty dishes are made. Here I'm chopping the garlic. Absolutely love garlic. It adds so much flavour to a dish. We grow garlic in our garden. We try and put a few cloves in, a few being, 20 or 30 cloves into our garden, and we do that around the shortest day of the year, which for us is in May because we're the southern hemisphere. And so we look at harvesting that later in the year, and we get alright sized cloves. It's very much a mix of smaller cloves and the old larger one. We've just moved where we plant them from down the back in an open veggie garden to one out our front door, which is raised and has a lot of peat or mushroom soil in it, and the garlic seems to really enjoy this. And we noticed last year we had bigger cloves, which is amazing, and so much less time consuming to peel and chop and peel and chop. When it comes to cutting up the broccoli, you want to cut it into bite-sized chunks so it cooks nicely, but also it's not too much of a mouthful when you eat it in the veggie bake. chopping up some green beans here from the supermarket, the local supermarket. Countdown. In summer we have so many runner beans, both on our bean vines and on Mum's bean vine. And what she does with them, because she gets so many. I mean, her bean vine just loves the position it's in the full sunlight. She gathers their beans and blanches them and then freezes them for later use. So that is totally a possibility when you're making a dish like this as well. So the pumpkin we're using here is the butternut pumpkin. It's tasty and sweet, and I just got this from the local fruit and veg store. But I am saving the seeds because we seem to have a bit of success off and on with planting pumpkins with seeds that we have bought from the store. Planting seeds with pumpkins that we have brought from the store. Ugh, not a fan of chopping pumpkins. Ugh. We absolutely love red potatoes in this house. We're looking at planting a couple of varieties when the season rolls around, which will be in a couple of months, but we're not too sure what's a good red variety, what's a large one, what's a tasty one. So if you have any suggestions, please feel free to comment down below. Love to hear from you, and we will totally respond to you. And here I'm running out of room on the chopping board. So we have our jumbo pot, and we have already put in garlic and onion and a couple of good splashes of olive oil to keep it from sticking in for a bit of flavour. And then we're going to put the onion and garlic on a stove on low just until they saute, so until they become translucent and soft. Not too high or the garlic burns really easily. We're also adding in a bit of salt and pepper here. So into the pan, after the onions and garlic have sauteed and are soft, we're then going to add the potatoes because they're the hardest vegetable and they will take the longest to cook. And we want them to be at a point of, I guess, al dente, so they're not soft and squishy, but they're firm to the bite. And this is because when it comes to baking the dish later, you want to give a little bit of leeway so you don't end up with really soft, soggy food. I added in a cupful of water here just to try and soften the potatoes, and in the course of cooking this dish I did add 3 more cups in, a cup being not a standard cup but obviously an espresso cup of water. Very scientific. Next in goes our pumpkin, because that's also quite a hard ingredient, not as hard as the potato, so it's a little bit quicker to cook. Now we pop in the carrots, sliced into bite-sized chunks. Once again, everything's fairly well the same size, just to make for uniform cooking and uniform bites in the mouth as well. So what I'm doing here is rubbing the bottom of the pan. All those little caramelized bits you want to rub off and bring back into the dish so you get the flavour from the base of the pan. Here I'm putting in the mushrooms, so that's just to allow them time to saute and to get nice and soft and squishy as well. Got a bit of fogging on the camera there. Everything's cooking nicely here in a couple of cups of water. So as the water reduces, I add another cup in just until I feel potato is at that point of al dente. And here I pulled a potato out and just gave it a wee chop with the spoon, and you can see it doesn't chop easily. It's a little bit al dente when I push the board and spoon onto it. So here we're adding those beans and the broccoli. So I just really want to turn the pan off at this point to prevent the broccoli becoming brown and overcooked, and the residual heat from the pan will just cook the broccoli through. And don't forget, it's going to be cooked again when it's baked at a later point. So adding about 1.5 cups of milk to a pan, it doesn't matter if it's whole milk or trim. I'm also going to make up a vegetable stock with 1 stock cube and a cup of boiling water. You dissolve the stock cube into the boiling water, and then we're going to pour it into the milk. We're going to put the milk on a low heat so it can warm while we make the cornflour slurry. To make the cornflour slurry, we add about 2 cups, two-thirds a cup of milk, and then I put in 3 heaping spoons of corn flour. I mean, the recipe is fairly forgiving, so if you add too much or you think that there's going to be too much corn flour slurry, just add a half when you add it to the milk, and see how much it thickens. And if it doesn't thicken enough after, say, 5 minutes, then add some more. But if it comes to a lovely thick sauce after a few minutes, then you've got enough and don't add any more. If you find it's too thick, then add in a bit of milk. We don't want the heat too high, and we want to stir continuously so that that milk doesn't burn or scorch on the bottom of the pan. But after a few minutes, we can definitely see the sauce start to thicken a little here. Thick and glossy. Here we're going to grate some cheese. So I probably grated about 1.5 to 2 cups of cheese. I'm using Colby. It's just what we buy, and it doesn't matter what you use. Eden, tasty, or another edible flavour. So we want enough cheese to be able to put into the cheese sauce, but also to sprinkle onto the cheese bake, the veggie bake at the end. When you add the cheese to the sauce, you want to make sure that your saucepan is turned off or on a very low heat. The cheese can easily split the sauce. Give it a good stir, and everything will just melt and become oozy and creamy and delicious, of course. So once we're happy that the cheese is melted and everything's combined, we're going to add the cheese sauce to the veggies and gently stir to combine. That's so we don't break up the veggies too much. We want them to remain whole and chunky and al dente for a delicious creamy bite. So from this one recipe, I managed to put it in 3 separate containers. These containers you can freeze, or you can just put them in the fridge and use them in a couple of days. So I spoon a good generous helping out into each dish, and then it would have been so nice to cover these in breadcrumbs, and I would have, but unfortunately we were all out at the time. Once you've got the right amount in each dish, or in the dish, if you're making a giant one, which would be just as nice, you sprinkle the cheese on the top. So sprinkling the cheese on the top of the dish, you want there to be a nice layer, because when it goes into the oven or the air fryer, this is what's going to give that browned, crackled texture on the top that is so nice to eat. So after sealing the dishes with glad wrap, they can be stored in the fridge until you need them. The next day I needed something for lunch, so I took a portion out and put it into a heat-proof bowl and put it into the air fryer on about 180 degrees for 15 to 20 minutes. And what came out was a bubbling, delicious, creamy creation. It was definitely comfort food, but it was totally delicious and just what I felt like on a cold winter's afternoon, lunchtime. I hope you found this video relaxing and that you'll join us for more adventures soon. Thank you so much for watching. See you later.